If you're tired of quitting on yourself, then stay tuned. This is the episode for you. Welcome to Aging Flipped, where grandmotherhood becomes your launchpad for transforming aging. I'm your host, Debbie Talbert. My mission is to help you create a rich, optimal life in your grandmotherhood years by flipping the script on aging. Each episode reveals new possibilities for creating a lasting legacy while thriving mentally, physically, and emotionally. Let's jump in and reshape that aging story together. Welcome back, my friends. This episode is part of the surface level series. I'm walking you through the 6 key components of the Aging Flip Flight Plan. But before we go any further, I want to be really clear about something. The flight plan is a framework. Coaching is the how. The how we stop just knowing what to do and start to becoming the woman who actually does it. I had a client, just call her Susan. I think we called her Susan last week too, who had tried all of the self-help books, the podcast, the book, the journaling prompts, you name it. But none of it stuck. Her thoughts were all around creating shame and fear and a constant loop of, I already know this stuff, but I still can't follow through. What's wrong with me? I guess I'm just broken. And it wasn't until she hired me as her coach that things started to click. The gears started clicking together. The puzzle pieces started coming together. We used the flight plan as her guide, and together we worked towards retraining her brain. Then she was able to practice the shifting of the thoughts, the rewiring of her beliefs, and the learning how to support herself in real life, in her real life experience and in her real life moments. That's when everything started to change. Now she's dreaming again, resting well, and showing up in her family with calm and confidence, not shame and exhaustion. If you've ever felt like this, like, I've done all this inner work. I just feel like I still get stuck. I've done it and I'm stuck. I know what to do, but I keep quitting on myself. Does that sound like you? Well, this episode is for you. Stay tuned. Keep listening because today we're stepping into the first and most important component of the flight plan. It's called the cockpit. In the last episode, I shared all the 6 components. And in this one, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the cockpit. And it's the part where your brain that's flying your entire life, right? Your brain is doing the flying. And the cockpit is your inner command center. Just like on the aircraft, it's the command center of the airplane. And it does the shifting and the navigating. And the pilot is up there. And it's the commands that he's putting into the software. So really thinking about your brain is the software that's running your life. And your brain is where your beliefs are. Your brain is where your thoughts are. And your brain is where your inner dialogue lives. And all of those are your beliefs. And they are quietly steering your energy, your actions, and sometimes maybe not so quiet, and as well as the highs and lows, and even your willingness to dream. Here's the simple truth. Your thoughts create your feelings drive your actions, and your actions are what lead to the results in your life. Think of it like you're investing in these thoughts and actions, and the results you're getting, that's like the return of your investment in those feelings and actions. And that's actually what's happening for you. And so if you're trying to improve habits or your health or your relationships, but your brain is still stuck in the, I always give up on myself. I always quit. Nothing seems to click for me. If it's still stuck in that thought pattern and using that software, it's no wonder you're circling around the same runway. But But here's the good news. You are the pilot. You can shift your mental altitude at any time. And the altitude shift is a simple concept and a tool. Is one that I used within my coaching. And so I want to introduce it to you. It's a small yet believable adjustment to some of your stuck thoughts. So it's something that is gentle enough that your brain doesn't reject it, but it's strong enough to give you a lift in your altitude, so to speak. And you don't need to, because you don't need to go from I'm failing to I'm amazing. Because first of all, your brain is never going to believe it, and it's too far, and you're just going to give up on yourself again. A lot of the giving up on yourself happens because you go too far into trying to flip the script, especially if you've heard how your thoughts impact your life and some of the self-help stuff you've been doing. So if you can do just a slight altitude shift, it's going to really make a difference. So you can go from the thought is maybe I always quit on myself. That might be running in the background and running your show right now. And that might be the software in your brain. Some women have figured this out. Maybe I can too. Really just notice it's very slight. It's not even yet trying to convince yourself or saying to yourself. It's really just opening up your brain to this possibility that, oh, other people have done it. Maybe I can too. And it's really small. It's really subtle. But that subtle altitude shift, even in real life on the aircraft, gives you some of that more smooth air. Because the air traffic controller has guided the pilot to a subtle altitude shift, and they start to get smoother air when it's up there and it's turbulent. And so that's really what this does for you, is this little slight shift, and that's why I call the tool an altitude shift. And so it's really small, it's doable, and it's just enough of an altitude shift for you to start to see things differently. You start to feel slightly different about yourself, about your life, about what's happening around you. And that slight difference in perspective can make a momentum of difference. The more you begin to think that, the more you begin to have a different kind of momentum. And once you shift, you can start doing a climb sequence. It's a series of increasingly empowering thoughts that help you rise. Just like in real flight, the airplane doesn't jump from the ground to 30,000 feet instantly. And so neither can our thoughts. We climb with intention. So here's an idea that might help you with a climb sequence. First, you might be thinking this is hard. Like that's your practiced thought pattern and the software running in your head. You can move it slightly and do a little altitude shift. I've done hard things before. And that feels doable and believable to your brain because it is true. You have done hard things before. As you practice that, instead of thinking this is hard, just kind of reframe and go up, and I've done hard things before. And as you keep making that slight shift, you'll start to notice your momentum. Then you can move yourself up to, maybe I can learn to do this. The more you practice this, then you start practicing, I've done hard things before. And then when you're doing that, when you start to catch it and you notice, okay, let me start trying out, maybe I can learn to do this too. You're starting to climb a little bit more. And then you can move into, I'm figuring out how to support myself. And as you start practicing that, and more, you start to notice, and your brain, you're directing it to even notice how you are figuring out how to support yourself. You can shift into, I honor my need with my choices. Notice how you went from hard to this, I honor my needs with my choices. The more you practice and believe this, I honor my needs with my choices, you start to feel different and you start to take different actions. You start to create different results in your life from this new thought. And you have this new altitude, you get more clarity, confidence, and calm. And that is what we want. Let's go back to Susan for a second. Her first shift was this. Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe I just never had the right tools. That was her first altitude shift. She started practicing, teaching it to her brain, noticing what was happening in her life. This one sentence became the first rung in her climb, right? And it's the first new thought she began practicing. And from there, she practiced, we coached, and she started journaling again and journaling about a future that she wanted. And then she started sleeping better and trusting herself. And now she says, I'm becoming the grandma I used to wish I could be. It's because she's starting to notice how she's living all of that out, shifting your mindset. And in the cockpit phase, that's the tools and the resources that we learn how to do within the flight plan. We used that altitude shift tool throughout your whole journey and process. If you want to try this for yourself, here's how you can do it. First, catch a thought that's keeping you grounded. Second, shift it to find your altitude shift. It just needs to be a subtle, slight change. And then I want you to list out 3 to 5 thoughts that might feel like it will give you a rise in perspective, a climb in your perspective, a shift in your perspective, right? And if you'd like help with it, you can reach out to me at agingflip.com. You can email me, connect with me there. I reply to one of the emails you get once you opt in for the newsletter. I reply with the word climb. And I will send you a journaling page to help you walk through it. You can even put in what your climb might be that you're struggling with, and I'll tweak it to your unique situation. Right now, for myself, inside my own journey, I'm doing this for 60 days, and it's still at the beginning of it. And it is the great flower escape, right? This is what I'm doing within the glucose games. I'm using this every single day in this altitude shift because escaping the sugar and flour trap isn't actually about food. It's about my thoughts. And thoughts like, I need this to feel better. I can't handle this without this food. It's really because we have been conditioned and taught to believe that sugary snacks and snacks themselves are a necessary part of life. And so I'm working towards making slight shifts within my thinking around specifically sugar and flour. These thoughts of I need this to feel better, or I can't handle it without this food, aren't helping me. Those thoughts have been leading me into eating more of those foods. So I'm shifting it up to, it's possible I can feel better without food. That's really what I'm doing. I'm introducing myself to eating twice to 3 times and eliminating the snacks is what I'm working on, because that's really where the sugar and flour showed up most of my life. As I'm doing this great flour escape, I'm also using a glucose monitor to help me notice what actually happens in my own body. I'm learning, instead of dieting and I'm breaking free from that diet mentality, I'm utilizing a glucose monitor to help me understand what actually happens in my body and what do specific foods do to my body, and also teaching myself that food is not the answer. And so that's really how I've been doing this and making up the shift. So let me ask you, what thought has been flying your plane lately? And what might change if you shifted your altitude? I want to encourage you to direct message me. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go over to agingflip.com and opt in for the newsletter and then reply to the email that you get and put in the word climb, and I will send you a journaling tool because I really want to help you get unstuck. And it's not too late for you. You're not too far gone. You can be the pilot. You actually are the pilot, but you can be a pilot on purpose. You can reframe and retrain that part of your brain and teach it to fly and have a different altitude and different thoughts. That is the episode. I will be back again next week with another section of the Aging Flip Flight Plan. I look forward to hearing from you what you would like support around climbing with. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Now it's your turn. What stood out for you today? Take one small step toward implementing that one thing that stood out to you today. Remember, every action, no matter how small, shapes your aging journey. I am here to cheer you on. Visit agingflipped.com for resources and tools to support you on the journey of flipping your script about aging